Okay, let's dive into this ancient Korean folktale. It's called Hey Little Mouse. We're going to step way back in time to explore this story and really bring the natural world to life through some super vibrant storytelling. So let's get right to it.
Deep in the trees of an ancient forest, there lived three bird neighbors, a pheasant, a dove, and a scruffy little magpie.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the total contrast happening here. Up in the branches, you've got the pheasant, the dove, and the magpie just idly chatting away, feasting on wild fruits and grains all day. But down below, there's a busy little mouse. He's constantly scampering back and forth right underneath them, carrying seeds, nuts, and bites of rice. He's so busy, he barely even glances up at the birds.
Of course, the birds would look down from their branches and call out to him, already laughing. The pheasant would shout down, "Busy, busy little mouse, why don't you come relax with us for once?" And the dove, he'd chime right in, calling the serious little guy a miserable killjoy. He even threatened that if he were just a bit bigger, he might eat the mouse for dinner.
But the mouse? He wouldn't even stop running. Grasping a fat berry in his paws, he simply called back over his shoulder, "I relax after my work is done. You should do the same." And with that, he ran even faster, literally almost tripping over his own tail as he continued his daily routine.
And so it went, day after day, until a long summer arrived. It brought a terrible, unrelenting drought to the forest, and suddenly, what little food was left disappeared completely.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what that drought looked like. First, the rain just flat out refused to fall. Then, the rushing river slowed down to these sluggish, muddy streams. Finally, the earth completely dried out and cracked, honestly like burnt toast under a punishing sun.
Well, the animals grew incredibly hungry, especially the birds. The pheasant complained her stomach was rumbling so hard it was shaking her belly button clean off. The magpie was reduced to sitting on a thin branch, just licking a dried gourd. And the dove? He was plucking at dry bark, swearing he was so desperately hungry he'd eat sticky barnacles right off a whale's back.
Then, suddenly, the pheasant sits bolt upright. She remembers the mouse, that busy little mouse who collected food all year long. She figured he must have an absolute house full of food stashed away down in his roots to share.
Filled with hungry determination, the pheasant goes flapping through the dry, dead forest. Her own belly is growling menacingly as she finally lands right by the big, crooked tree the mouse calls home. She leans in real close to the hole nestled in the roots and makes a rhyming demand. She says she's bigger and tougher and demands, "Food for me. Give me some of your food."
From way deep inside his clean little burrow, the mouse fiercely shouts back, "No! You made fun of me all year and made my walks miserable." The pheasant tries to brush it off, claiming it was just a joke, but the mouse isn't having it. He tells her it was never a joke to him and demands she go away. Things escalate quickly here. Snapping that she is getting that food, the pheasant violently jams her beak right into the burrow, spraying loose dirt everywhere. The terrified mouse shouts out and wildly grabs a burning log straight from his fire, swinging it right at her intrusive beak.
In the flurry of all this, a spray of cinders from that burning log strikes the pheasant on one cheek and then right on the other. Crowing in pain, she backs out and flies away. And according to the story, that is exactly why pheasants still have red cheeks to this very day.
Let's move to the next part and see how this builds. Watching all of this with wide eyes are the dove and the magpie. The dove thinks the mouse deserves a rougher approach, so he flaps right down to the front door.
Leaning into the roots, the dove calls the mouse an ingrate. He threatens to get rough because he says he's smarter and stronger, reciting his own demand, "Food for me. Give me some of your food." Once again, the mouse fiercely rejects the demand. He shouts back, "This was never funny to me. Now leave me alone." He tells the dove to go fly off and find his own food, since he didn't bother getting any in the first place.
The tension totally peaks here. Screeching that he would make it the mouse's problem, the dove aggressively drives his beak into the burrow. But the mouse is completely prepared this time. He leaps forward, shouting, "By my whiskers," and brings down a heavy fire poker, swinging it like a warhammer right onto the bird's head.
The dove squawks wildly, wriggles free from the dirty roots, and flies away with a deeply bruised blue head. And this right here establishes the origin of the dove's blue color today.
Now, this leaves the scruffy magpie completely alone up in the branches, watching the little mouse down below with very sad eyes.
So the crucial point is what the magpie realizes. Up in those branches, she thinks back to all those days of teasing. She realizes the mouse never smiled or laughed. He hadn't been laughing with them, not once. They had just been bullies.
The magpie hops down to the burrow door and sings a sincere musical apology. "Sorry," say I, "maybe we can be friends." She admits to the mouse that her friends were rude and that he was entirely right to be so careful.
The wary mouse looks at her, realizing this isn't a trick. He invites the magpie to stay for dinner, on the one condition that she can remember to be nice.
And so, the forest was left with a few lasting physical changes. The pheasant has red cheeks from the burning log, the dove bears a blue head from the fire poker, and the magpie? She fixed the burrow and started learning to gather food from her prepared friend, which is exactly why magpies still gather food today, just in case.
Next time you see a bird in the woods, what story do you think gave them their colors? Thanks for joining this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.